It's always great to get together. Obviously, some of the chaps have been with the World Cup squad, so they're fully into the Caribbean time zones and lifestyles. But for the group that came in, there's a number of younger guys or guys who haven't played as much for South Africa. So those players are always excited and raring to go when they come together. They bring a great energy. There's nothing but good vibes this side, which is great.
Thanks, Morgan. Fani?
Rob, in the previous tournament against the West Indies in May, one of the problem areas was taking enough wickets. Do you think you possess the strike power to take regular wickets in these T20 matches?
Absolutely. I think if you look at the bowling unit itself, Otniel, Lungi, Nandre, Lazard, Quena, those are just the out-and-out strikers, and you've got the all-rounders in the background there as well as our spin options. So very much feel like the bases are covered and there are wicket-taking options. Guys have proven themselves to be wicket-takers. So I don't think the challenge will be any less, to be honest. They've put out a really strong squad, which is awesome. That's exactly how we want it to be. So I think we'll be up for a stiff challenge, and the guys coming will be looking to prove themselves, I'm sure.
Thanks, Neil.
Hello, Rob. Just to tell you, we're quite, not obsessed, but context and reason for fixtures and series has become increasingly sort of important with such fixture congestion. But my question is it okay just to play games for entertainment? Or, without a T20 World Cup coming up and without any sort of qualification on the line, is it almost a sort of, do you feel a sense of freedom just playing to entertain and to win without anything else important?
I think that would be a fairly narrow view on the fixtures, to be honest, because in my opinion it's 18 months away from a 2026 World Cup in India. We've got 9 series from now until then. It leaves us at around about 32 to 36 fixtures before that World Cup turns around. In terms of giving guys international opportunity, playing against quality T20 sides like we are, not every one of our players is a marquee player in the league, so we have to use these opportunities to play against strong opposition. We need to grow the base of our players that are competing at a level, and so for me the importance of fixtures like these are massive. Does it create freedom in players to play? I don't know, but I think that when you put on a green and gold, you have a responsibility to represent the country. There's a very strong desire to perform and to do well. So I don't think that the players see a series like this any less important than another. I think the leagues and the congestion that you talk about, of course it is a challenge, but actually it can be a positive for us in that we've got a broader group of players that are playing competitive cricket, but we need to make sure that guys are up to a level.
Thanks, Neil. Lloyd?
Thanks, Lucy. How's it, Rob? Do you mind just chatting a bit about Quena? There's obviously a lot of excitement around him given the age and the fact that he's had a hell of a journey over the last few months. But what's impressed you about him this week, and just as a young individual, skill sets aside, how's he taken on the last few days in the camp?
I think it's been a lot of travel and a day off, and yesterday was our first training, but my interactions with him in the past, he's a wonderfully calm young guy, seems to have his head screwed on very well. We've seen him perform for the Lions in the domestic competition, bowl super overs and win games for them there. So, perform well in under 19 World Cups. Go and run out for the Mumbai Indians in an IPL as a schoolboy. He's done some incredibly amazing things for a very young guy. And seems to have a really cool perspective on it all. So we were chatting just yesterday about the IPL experience. And as much as the performance wasn't there, there are not many schoolboys who can say they've already run out in front of a full Wankiri. and got that under the belt and have that as a reference point from an experience point of view. So, yeah, skill sets aside, I love his mindset, love his calmness. As we said, we see him as a strong potential for the Proteas moving forward, and it was an ideal opportunity to just to get him on tour and get him into the system, given full well, an idea of what his potential is.
Lucy, would you mind at all if I followed up on that just while we're on this?
Oh, go ahead, Lloyd.
Thank you. Rob, how do you balance that hype and the public expectation? It reminds a little bit of what we saw with the young Dewald Brevis coming through after that World Cup setup, and then you've got the whole country calling for him to play Proteas straight away. How do you manage that? How do you balance that, curbing the expectations and the progress of a player when they're that young?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question, and it certainly is a challenge that I'm very aware of. The players are the foremost in terms of how we manage. It's not about anyone else other than making sure we give the players the best opportunity for success. So for me, this was just one part in the journey, and this was just one part in giving him, the best chance to perform for South Africa whenever his chance presents itself. Obviously as a young guy, it'll be up to him and his support group, of which we're just one portion, to keep things into perspective. The media, in terms of you gentlemen and ladies, you report, and sometimes that does create a bit of pressure on young guys if they do read a little bit. Social media, as you know, is a strong person in this sphere of performance, especially with public figures. So to keep him grounded, to understand that he's under no time pressures. We don't need to speed this thing along. We just need him to assist him and support him in the best way possible to be ready. And that journey and taking care of him as an individual is foremost. And so we'll be endeavouring to do that as best as we possibly can.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Zahir?
How's it, Rob? It's kind of touched on what I wanted to ask about Quinn, but just have you seen him bowl live before this week?
In the flesh, no, just watched footage, plenty of it. Today or yesterday was the first day in the flesh. So it was good to see that what I saw on TV looked exactly the same in reality.
And Rob, just on the composition of your squad, you spoke about 18 months to a World Cup. You've got two top order batters that are 35 years old. Is that the plan forward just to balance a bit of experience and youngsters at the moment, or is it a bit dangerous to go in with a full young complement like we saw last year against Australia? And basically that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I think you've got it. There's that. You still want to be cognizant of the role of experienced players. Firstly, from an age point of view. In my opinion, 35 is not too old. 18 months away is 36 and a half. There's many guys who are playing it older than that. They're playing the best cricket of their lives. So I think that we are cognizant of age and building for the future. That's one thing. But also wrapping younger guys with experience is critically important. I mean, we've seen how important in a World Cup Quinton de Kock was for Tristan Stubbs. To have experienced heads there that have been through the mill, that understand what it feels like, and to feel the game closing in if it does that, or to understand when to push. Having that in the middle is like gold. So we want to get the balance right. It's not an exact science. It could work, it might not, but the reality is that having experience mixed with the exuberance of the youth is what we want to do. We want to have X-factor players that are wrapped around by guys who understand situations, the conditions better, and can maneuver their way through it. So, hopefully we've got a nice balance there. But as I said, the guys that are playing, as much as they are experienced, they're also top performers over the last calendar year.
Lucy, my apologies. Lucy, can I ask, is the light behind Rob's head and it won't look nice for broadcasting purposes? Is there any possibility you could swipe this right, please?
Sure, but don't worry, we are supplying the broadcast video afterwards, so don't worry too much about what it looks like now on the Zoom.
Yeah, my bald head doesn't do any favors there either. So anyway, we'll try and get it through it.
Percy, do you have a question?
I think I'm fairly covered. Rob, maybe you can just sum up for me the importance. It sounds like a dumb question. What exactly are you as a coach and you as a team hoping to get out of the series against the West Indies now? I think you've briefly touched on some of my questions, but just what are you hoping to get out of this series with your team?
Well, first and foremost, we want to win a series. We've got 9 of them, and we want to try and win all 9 en route to a 2026 World Cup. At a sort of micro level, we want to improve on our last performance here. So there are individuals that were here. So take the learnings from the last 2 and try and be better. The guys that are coming in that are getting first taste of international experience is obviously that in itself is a win. So there's a lot of micro wins along the way. But nothing changes when we take the field. Winning a game for South Africa is foremost. Playing our best cricket, continuing to live our blueprint and to embed it even stronger so that everyone understands how to play when they do get an option. So all of these things are at play when you move into a series. But certainly when you start out, winning the series is also part of it.
Great, thanks, Percy. So we do have a couple of follow-ups before we look to wrap. So Lloyd, I'm not sure if that's an old hand still or.
Sorry, old hand, and I'll take it up.
No worries. Neil, over to you.
Hello, Rob. You mentioned the journey on a couple of occasions. Sorry, just indulge me. I just was curious about your journey. Did you go Otago to Trinidad, and how long did that take? And how long are you going to be there for?
My home is in Hawke's Bay, so just outside Napier. And so it was a very long journey to get to Trinidad in short. 16 hours time zone difference really plays around. So yeah, I've probably been awake longer than most in this hotel over the last couple of days. But it's all good. It's all part of it's part of the gig, and being here always takes care of any other travel issues.
Great commitment, coach.
Thanks, Neil. We're going to go over here, then look to wrap with Ongama.
Rob, you obviously wear dual hats as the one-day coach as well, and when you look at somebody like Jason Smith coming to the side, is that, and obviously you've got Vian as well, is that just trying to develop those all-rounders also in the longer format of white ball cricket as well, to give them a showcase in what international cricket is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both have performed well across formats, really. So, and I've made no secret about the fact that improving, our all-rounder stock is critical. I mean, it just makes such a difference when it comes to balancing teams out. Again, it's fortunate that we were able to make selections on the back of domestic performance, and now it's a case of, seeing whether the domestic performance translates to international. So excited to see, Jason coming into the fold. You mentioned a guy like Vian, who we've actually seen. He's actually still a very young cricketer, but we've seen him follow the path that a lot of cricketers go through, where they, start strong and it's new, and then people figure them out and their games get challenged. And then there's a little bit of a dip, and then on the other side, if you're able to make that improvement, you become a much better cricketer. So I think Vian's on that trajectory now, which is great to see. And we've got Pat Kruger from an all-round point of view, a guy like Don Ferreira from an all-round point of view. So that's just here on this tour. So we're certainly making a deliberate effort to build our all-round stocks to, again, like I've said a million times, create international exposure. And hopefully that's going to pay it forward in the long run.
Thanks, Sahir. Ongama?
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Rob. Just on the conversation of youngsters, and then with Tristan Stubbs in particular, I guess it's a bit of a different series for him. I mean, 2 World Cups under the belt, 2016 internationals under the belt. I think it's a bit of a different setup for him. What are your plans for him in this series, and then what sort of role do you see him play in this series? Because he's one of the most experienced, looking at the squad that you've selected for the series.
I think, to be honest, on the back of the World Cup, if you just look at Tristan and his performance even in the final, as still a fairly young cricketer internationally, whilst he obviously has been to a couple of World Cups and played, more games than the others, I think he's really starting to find his feet as a cricketer now across all formats. And the way he batted there, just showed a real, presence under pressure, which is awesome. And from now on moving forward is really to create the platform for him to go and win games for South Africa and just become really good at that, become comfortable in assessing the conditions, and then understanding what his game needs to look like in order to get us over the line either which way. So, this series is a part of that. I mean, he's got a lot of cricket to play for South Africa and a lot of games to win for South Africa. So, creating the platform for him to just go and continually learn and grow is critical there. And I would say his last year has been his best year of cricket. So, we're going to just keep building on that.